Not a peep. Has Kyria given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have to keep at it. Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kyria's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crimes. No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the Marechaussee Phantom years ago. There must be something we're missing. Something extremely important.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was pretty tasty. You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like looking at the flowers. Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, incense. Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
It was the older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy was murdered in cold blood.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucian, and now this.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please, no loitering.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What is going on?
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit? I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kyria already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't consider your crime to be worthy of death.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emilie.
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity. He would have been able to help.
Is that so? I suppose I'm a very fortunate person then. I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect of my peers. If it is indeed my time to go, but Kyria has nothing. Yelena is gone. Now, it really makes you wonder if there's...
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kyria himself, once we find...
Well, I hope it all goes well. Emilie, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. But so many flowers were transported here for the show, some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. Whether Kyria gets to me first, or I'm sent back to Fontaine to stand trial. I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course, Master.
Really? Oh, now I truly have...
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so I've...
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting.
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. Paimon sure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Oh, but Kali still looks quite worried. Let's go talk to her.
Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now, too, but I have to admit, I'm not really sure what's going on. After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed that night.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time. Let's go. We'll show you where the culprit hid a goose. Wasn't this incense originally in Lucien's room? It must have been moved here before nightfall yesterday. This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the limitada lotus.
Exactly. Although the limitada lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. When it's closed, the gaps between the petals are too large. That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by preparing an agoose sample.
There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's one I recognize. If you stick the petals together with slime condensate, then, in the daytime, the glaze lily would act almost like a hidden container.
That's right. He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to the petals to stick them together, and that way the agoose would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. This also allowed the culprit to plant the poison well in advance, However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night. So by nightfall, the flower would bloom, thereby forcing the target to inhale the agoose trapped inside.
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room during the night.
By the next morning, the sample of agoose would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze lily would have already closed its petals, and any lingering odor would be concealed by the fragrance of the other flowers in the room.
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of a goose is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to kill a grown man? And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because a goose is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of toxicity has never changed. Only
You mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy. So it's just some sort of happy coincidence that Sylvain and Lucien are allergic to the stuff? That can't be right. They were involved in the operation all those years ago. If the stuff gave them a bad reaction, they would have known from the very start.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more like they're susceptible to its effects. You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kyria found a way to ensure that they would be.
In Fontaine, I experienced how drinking primordial seawater made me more attuned to the element of hydro. The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. Thinking back on it, I'm almost certain it was the scent of Spirit Borneal. In Sumeru, scholars use Spirit Borneal to aid meditation and stimulate their connection to the Dendro Archon.
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago. All of those are substances that can heighten your sensitivity to elemental energy.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru.
Ah, yes. I definitely remember that.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion. The
Flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue. It would be completely unnatural to have one here in Sumeru if it weren't for the exhibition. What a coincidence.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel.
He probably used the mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was supposed to set him free. But in the end, it was just a tool for his revenge.
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. Every step you take leaves a mark. But up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kyria's activities. That's not because he was coming and going undetected, but because he's been disguised as someone else this entire time.
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily, setting up the Spirit Borneal in advance, and arranging for Sylvain and Lucien to stay at the hotel. It all points to one person, the expert in charge of the entire exhibition. The mora spent to rent out the hotel, the way the Auguste flower, it all points to one person. Kyria and Edgar are one and the same.
But Kyria was only in his teens back then. He wouldn't even be 40 years old by now. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance, going that long without giving anything away, it would be impossible.
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving off a really ominous aura. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. By the time we got a look inside the room, Mr. Edgar was gone. Do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this. Are you certain that figure wasn't Edgar himself?
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail. I don't see how he could have moved that.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill-advised source of power.
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition he's in.
But why? Why would he do that?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's death,
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm the truth about why Yelena chose to die,
then there's still one target left.
ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath.
I saw a black shadow. It ran right past me. How could something like...
This is terrifying.
No, don't come any closer! If we go any further, we'll be out of Port Ormos. We'll be...
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. I would say he passed by this location not too long ago. It's this way. Please, follow me. Neutralize! The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! O's! Are you all right? Were you attacked?
No, I'm all right. I was just chasing after that figure, and then...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason,
This feeling. I've encountered it before.
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He's a good man.
O's, you need to calm down and listen to me. Edgar is the one we're after. He and Kyria are the same person.
But how is that possible? Mr. Edgar is 70-something. Changing your appearance to look decades old?
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures to age himself. Kyria used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower, corroding his body in the process. Just like...
No. He couldn't have. Mr. Edgar has been in Port Ormos for years. If someone started impersonating him all of a sudden, we would have noticed.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot in Sumeru? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kyria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kyria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the real Edgar's demise. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. He even left perfume making in favor of mentoring students. But these decisions were all for a specific purpose: the need to distance himself from anyone who might see through the facade. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses, make a few minor alterations to his appearance, and everyone would believe he was exactly who he claimed. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skills. It would have been a gradual process, one that ensured no one around him would notice anything unusual.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back at the hotel! He aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge! Is that even worth it?
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that kind of person.
What you really need is to get out of here.
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, should not... I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please come with me and rest. I'm sure Kiria... No, Edgar wouldn't want any more innocent people implicated in all this.
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure to a goose, it would seem the substance has little effect on us. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to the effects of abnormal elemental energy. Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold likely has multiple points of entry. If the target were to escape from a different point of entry, that... I hate to trouble you, but we need people to survey the perimeter.
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Oh, Ooze, head back to...
Got it.
Traveler, Emilie, Paimon, please be careful. For someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll do when there's no reason to move forward.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. Not for us or for Kiria. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. It's time for the mythos to fade into obscurity. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy. I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff. Yeah! Extract! Ruh! Yeah.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. I can't believe a single person did all this.
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion comes at a cost. Not just time, but the time you have left to live.
But why would Kiria need this many Auguste flowers? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry out his plan, right?
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion fueling his obsession with Auguste. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru to wither away in a foreign land. But Kiria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the gut for someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for. Reconstitute! I'm going in!
Windblade! With the wind!
Extract!
Verdict is...
The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger.
Did they catch up that fast? No, my strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years ago in Fontaine. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but I always understood. The reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, it was all because of me. I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, There was nothing left. The flower... I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have come looking for you earlier. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please! Yelena!
Emilie? I'm alive. No, that's not possible.
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body coupled with the pollen in the air. Neither...
No, the amount of August I drank, it should have been enough. A fake? But how?
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind: to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind.
Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed, miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emilie?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to let down your guard.
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottles, there's no way you could have made an accord. If Auguste was so easy to replicate.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients would have conflicted with each other if you tried to combine them in the past. But recently, we found a way for them to work together.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias.
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. all this time, people never stopped analyzing it, never stopped trying to recreate it. Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We've found better ways to extract essential oils, separate oils and fats. We even discovered new ways to combine fragrances together. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but now it's time for it to become a thing of the past.
The past?
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it, just like the perfume mania that captivated the public all those years ago. You believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely one of a kind. Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end, and to make preparations in advance.
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, so Sylvain isn't dead. Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, I assume you've also figured out my method, then. That means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning. It was all an act.
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation, or continued to use your spirit Borneal and Auguste combination to wreak havoc.
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself then and there.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of this garden to the grave, but I'm sorry, Master. I don't... Sylvain only inhaled a small amount of poison. He's being detained as we speak. All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to see, and all his secrets will be revealed.
Is that so? Well, I suppose I'll be spending the rest of my days in a...
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions. I did what I set out to do. I may have lost in the end.
Careful, everyone. This environment is dangerous. I'll be...
Stick close and hurry up. We can't let Edgar die.
Looks like I'm almost out of time.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make your accord.
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main ingredient consists of a single variety of flower. So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking, what if the scent of the Auguste flower was already imbued with that complexity during its cultivation?
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent of
rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias. The perfumers of the past knew that if you combined their essential oils directly, they would just cancel each other out. It was a conundrum they could never solve. But if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those three scents, you can bypass that issue entirely.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies. Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emilie's releasing a new perfume!
Right, I heard about that. I think it's called Yelena.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume you're releasing.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but the news spread way faster than I expected. I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth, especially after all the work we did to demystify a Goost. I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent more pleasant and long-lasting. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it and tell me your
Of course! A good sense of taste and sense of smell go hand in hand, you know? Oh, it smells great!
It's alright. All feedback is worth considering. Besides, when it comes to perfume, commenting on whether it smells good is the most straightforward assessment you can ask for. There doesn't always have to be a deeper meaning.
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning? Hearing their names seemed to have an effect on him.
If I had to guess, I'd say it probably has something to do with the language of flowers.
The language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that before! Paimon remembers hearing something like, the Cecilia represents the true feelings of the prodigal son?
What each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments in history. The same is true for the flowers that make up the scent of a Goost. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns out the meanings of those 3 flowers can be reassembled to form a single phrase. Forget the past and keep on living. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended, not the nobility and grandeur most people associate with a Goost.
Do you think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found, but he didn't seem to care. Who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. That was his response. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look for meaning all we want, but it'll never be anything but conjecture. Even if that is what she was trying to say, I would never be able to avenging her death. That was the meaning I chose for my life. Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was committed to making it bloom, even if in the end, it didn't bear the fruit he was hoping for. In any case, he did want me to pass along his thanks. Thank you for saving my life, for giving me the chance to learn that a Goost could have carried a very different meaning. Love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die with them. In that sense, what a Goost truly represents in the language of flowers will forever remain a mystery. But even if it's only a conjecture, I would like to believe my own interpretation. The meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfumes, they're constantly twisted and exploited in our imperfect world. And yet, at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful desires we hold in our heart.